Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin.
Hello.
How do you have driven you've done so much.
I'm so tired.
I bet.
So I shot my special last night, right?
Right.
So it was the 10 o'clock show as Gary Cannon, who was doing the warm up. He's great. He's great at warm up, right? He used to do warm up at Conan. And he's like, all right, you guys do the 10 o'clock show on the Saturday before Easter. It's like, oh, that explains the turnout. It wasn't full. It was like the front was, Kyle was there. Yeah, the front was full-ish, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's been that kind of turnout for a lot of them, you know? So it was fine. It was enough. And I was tired when I started. I was tired from being tense all day, from going over jokes all day long, from like, I just sat on my porch. Hold on. I'm trying to change my settings here.
Sure.
Okay.
Just sitting on your porch running jokes?
Yeah. I was like performing. There were two bits that had like mushiness, right?
Right.
And I have the punchlines here. I just need to like set them up a little bit better. So
okay.
I kept
That's better than the opposite. Holy shit. No punchlines. Yeah.
Well, one of them was like the black Twitter bit, and I was like,
oh, right.
Pace it a little bit better because some of these laughs are not punchlines, they're like performance lines, right?
Okay.
So I kind of changed the pacing a little bit. And then the other one was this, not a new one, it's something I'd riffed a long time ago on stage, and then I just kind of didn't do anything with it. I just kept it as is, and I still feel like there's more to it, but I kind of during the thing, I said literally like, fuck it, let me just try this thing. Like I announced it. Didn't I say something, Kyle? Do you remember? I'll just try it. It's kind of messy, but let's try it. But it ended up working really well. I don't know if I teed it up that way, that helped it. Yeah. But it worked really well. And then I was like, oh, phew, those are the only two that I was worried about. And everything else, I just needed to stick all the landings. And it kind of did, because I've been doing that so long. Yeah. The only thing that was like a total mess was going into the crowd. It was like the people that I asked, you know, is anyone blah, 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 right? And the people that volunteered were just assholes and insane. And in a club situation, I would have been able to deal with it differently, but I was like trying to move it along, and you're keeping in mind, like, all right, they can cut this, they can keep this, you know, it wasn't a club situation, right? That I had to be thinking of. I had to be thinking of all this stuff. And so that was a mess.
Right. But it just didn't work. Which is weird because you're so good at crowd work. But
well, yeah, but I mean, usually the crowd is not bad. Like the people I talk to are okay. But even when they suck, it's if I didn't have 5 cameras and, you know, people wanting me to make sure that the audience was in the light, like the person wasn't in the light. So all these other things going in my head, I couldn't even deal with them being assholes very well, you know? Right. So, however, I went long, like 70, and we only need 60. So we can cut that, no problem. And it was like the dog bit, so it was on corset anyway, so it could be gone. That's fine. Right. And then there's room to probably cut 2 other bits that were on my album, but I'm not really sure. We'll see how it all times out. It would be cool to have a full special that didn't have any jokes that were on corset. Right now, there's like 2, the Anne Frank joke, the circumcision chunk, and this dog thing are on both. And the circumcision one's really old, like that can go, you know. It would be neat if I could have the copy, the footage that I can just clip out because it looks good. Yeah, it would be officially part of the special or something, like, you know. Yeah,
I don't know who's in charge of editing, but you got to make sure that you're in constant contact with them.
Yeah, I guess they're pretty good about that.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So I was worried that I wouldn't have enough time, as I always am, and then I went way over. So that's cool. So that is
cool. So there's wiggle room.
Yes. So that's cool.
And
I was so tired by the end of the week, like, all this is all I've been thinking about for like 3 weeks, right?
Right.
And going over like a million sets in New York
oh,
City,
we know.
pouring, pouring over jokes, like going, oh, this part's slow. Is there, can I, whatever, all that stuff that you do. And then trying to get in as many as I could in LA before Saturday, and it wasn't as many, and but a lot of people stepped up and gave me spots on their shows and let me sneak in and do a few minutes, and that everyone helped me solve another problem. That's what
Yeah.
I did, and so I'm
That's
really
amazing.
grateful for all that. And the stress of just thinking about all these stuff all the time, like you can't even think of new material. You're just like, if anything new, it's going to be an add-on to what I have. It's not going to be a new chunk I'm going to work on. It's going to be something else for this setup or something that's already
like, and if a new premise comes, you're just vaguely irritated,
It can
but
go
you
away.
want to write it down. You have to write it down
Yeah.
and be irritated with it, but you can't work on it.
No,
There's
no time. No time.
Yeah.
So by last night, so I finish, it's good. Even Bruce, who's a little bit on the dour side, is smiling. He's like, great set. And there's plenty, you went way over, we're good. Like, he was happy. I was like, this is weird. And my kid went and he sat in the audience. I didn't see him in the audience, but he sat in the audience. Yeah. And I saw a lot of people I knew in the audience. So part of me is like, oh, I'm doing my special in front of friends, like it's not Chris Rock, although probably Chris Rock had a million friends in his audience.
Totally.
And probably all the official specials that are like, have a ton of friends in the audience. So I don't know, but I get you get in your head.
Yep.
But it's so weird because just like a late night set, it's not an actual representation of stand-up comedy. It's like these are the jokes that I worked on in this order.
Right.
But actual like me at my best is when it's the second show of a week and it's half full and a comic I hate is filling a stadium across town. That's when I'm going to do a good show. That's when you'll see me as me, not like trying to, meet all the marks on a comedy special.
Right, which I heard, because all the scuttlebutt was that you did hit all the marks and it was very LK.
Professional.
It was very you. It had, it had your vibe to it, but it was super tight and great.
Well,
so that's amazing.
But the thing is like, I couldn't, and I like, normally I would love to comment on the empty seats. I mean,
oh, right.
I love it. I love to position myself as the person who's being disrespected by the world, right? So when I see,
I love that you know that.
When I see empty seats, I'm like, good. I get to be my real self, bitter, angry, thinking it's not fair. But I can't do that in a comedy special where it's
hard to see yourself as the victim when someone is pointing 5 cameras at you.
Exactly.
It's real difficult.
It fucks with my sense of self.
She had to settle for excellent and densely written material.
Again and again.
10 minutes more than she needed.
I have to say that famously, guy who got there were I think he was the only one who ever got a standing ovation on those half hours at Comedy Central in 2003.
Who?
And it was this guy, and he stacked the audience. Shocking no one, that name.
Okay.
But he literally, it was all of friends and friends of friends and friends of friends of friends, and the room probably only sat maybe 600. But they gave him a standing ovation.
Okay.
He got a standing ovation, and I saw that set.
Did you stand?
I did not.
Oh. You were not moved to stand.
Right. And that is hardly doesn't mean he isn't good at what he does and isn't beloved by those who belove him. It's just I am not the one.
Is he am I thinking of the right comic where he may have taken a story that was told by another comic and used it on stage on that very special?
Oh, that I do not know.
I don't believe
It's,
so.
No? Okay. It's because let me, this guy,
I've spelled his last name wrong. Oh, that's a different guy entirely.
No, that's
Did
the
that
same
guy
guy.
do that?
Yeah, that's the same guy.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm
So
learning.
same
tea.
special.
Oh,
Took that guy's story and then stacked the audience as well. Interesting. I mean,
Oh,
maybe that's.
my guy took that guy's story.
I
Is
think
that what you're saying?
so. I think
Oh,
so.
interesting, interesting. I wouldn't be
What a
surprised. The
web.
guy,
Yeah.
it's like I said, he is beloved by those who beloved him.
Yeah.
But he is not. There literally, were he not a stand-up comic, he would be the salesman of the month every month. It is the job that I feared my entire childhood.
Yeah.
That I've since embraced when it comes to merch.
Mhm.
And all of my siblings have embraced. And so yeah, but that does not make a good comic. In my opinion, you can either choose to become, and this is my prejudice of being told not to sell things from when I started,
Mhm.
and that it wasn't cool or that it wasn't okay.
Mhm.
But there is a part of me that still believes that you make a choice, that you either go into sales or you go into comedy. And, once you've become really good at one of those things, maybe you can go back to the other. Though I don't think it's that direction. Like if you choose sales and then decide to go into comedy, I don't think that works as well as because I think that if I went into sales now,
Mhm.
I would crush it. But I would have crushed it earlier, but not crushed stand-up comedy if I had
But
gone to sales initially.
I would suggest that yes, you have the ability to crush sales, but because now you're too smart. Now you know that the product is stupid. So you would not be able to not badmouth.
I'd have to believe in the product. I was told this on my father's knee. Not that I ever sat on his knee. What is he? What are we related? But there was he always said you have to believe in the product. And if you don't believe in the product, believe in the product. And which, I mean, there's not
Right.
It's another line for the t-shirt, you guys. By the way, that t-shirt's available for sale at JackieCation.com.
Oh, that's a line that you already have on a t-shirt?
No, that's a line that belongs on the dad quote t-shirt.
Yes.
But that clearly has not been. But I do remember him saying, you got to believe in the sale. And if you don't believe in the sale, just believe in you got to believe in the product. But if you don't believe in the product, just believe in the product.
Yeah, that's great.
Really sums it up.
Yeah. So I finished last night. I'm exhausted. I never want to see any of these jokes again.
It's what time do you get home? Like 1?
Around midnight or something.
Midnight or so? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and then my son wanted In and Out and they were closed, whatever.
The devastation.
And then today, Easter, In and Out's totally closed.
Oh, completely. I don't know if you know this about them. And you do.
We went to Dog House, which is, they have like really good
HAUS with the umlaut.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And I guess they're the only place open because it was packed with Easter people. But anyway, so then I'm like, oh my God, I took this gig in Cathedral City, whatever, Palm Spring, as soon as you're out
Cathedral City, that's where Carmen and that's where our hotel was. Though the gig was in Palm Springs. This was last weekend.
Yeah.
You drove to Cathedral City today and then back.
So I drove and it was a fundraiser for foster kids. It was a good thing. And it was decent. It was okay money, but I definitely didn't think like, hey, I might need a day off from this dumb special. Right. I was just like, yeah, okay. It's a day after my special. I'm open. Yes.
Yes, you are. Yes.
And so man, it was a long drive out there. And I was just looking at my notebook going, I don't want to say any of these fucking things. I don't want to.
I just told all the jokes that I know, and I don't want to say any more. I don't want to say them again.
And but
Did you have
so
to do an hour?
no, just 30 minutes. And I think Jason got me off early too, because it wasn't a great comedy setup as there was an auction beforehand, and you know how auctions go like way longer than anyone expects when they say we're doing a fundraiser and we're gonna have an auction, and they always think it'll be like 15 minutes because they've never done them before, and you as a comic are like, oh no, this is gonna be an hour and 40. Hold on, Jackie, I have to reply to your secret message.
I've typed the
No,
secret message. Oh, thank God.
no,
You could just say the word no.
yeah,
Oh, good, thank God.
Yeah.
As long as it isn't that first person,
yeah, no, it's different.
then it's a better person.
Different person. Yeah.
So the
No,
money's better. The gig should be better. Something should be better.
So then, and then, but I gave a ride home to Nikki Paris tonight, and he's very funny, and I got to spend an hour changing his mind about Meghan and Harry, and I got in the weeds.
Well, then it's ass, gas,
Yeah.
or grass, and he sat through your Meghan and Harry business.
Yeah, there was so much he didn't realize, and I just wish I wish I could educate everybody. Yeah.
And I'm loath to do this, but we got time. Where was he against them?
Yes, because he loves Queen Elizabeth, and I'm like, I get it. You can still love Queen Elizabeth and support Meghan and Harry.
Sure. Here's my thing. Not a huge fan of monarchies. So it's going to be, I like a monarch butterfly. That's as close as we get. Okay. So,
well, yeah,
so I'm unmoved by the whole story. Not that I can't, like, I got to see Prince Charles and Diana one time, I told you this, right?
No.
From a distance. I had a very shitty job for 3 lovely months in London, England. And in 1989, where I was drunk for such a long time.
Right.
I worked at a movie theater in Leicester Square, and I watched the movie High Spirits, where Liam Neeson had the best tiny part. 26 times I saw that film. Anyway, it was not good. It doesn't hold up. But Steve Guttenberg and Daryl Hannah are both in it, and Morgan Fairchild, I believe. It's quite a cast and Peter O'Toole is the main. And Liam Neeson plays a tiny ghost. Anyway, what?
Morgan and I follow each other on Twitter.
Oh, there you go. I once saw, and I won't say it actually because it's a mean thing to say, but I won't say it about Morgan Fairchild. But I will say this: it was the year Roger Rabbit came out. The movie Roger Rabbit. Charles and Diana were at the premiere, which was not at mine. Not at my Leicester Square movie theater, but the one across the square. And we all went out into the square so that we could see them walk in.
Oh my
God. I saw them walk in. And then I had seen Roger Rabbit 6 months earlier because it was back in the 80s when movies would come out. They were staggered around the world, like the daylight savings of movies for some reason. And that's one of my favorite movies, Roger Rabbit. But mostly because there's a great comedy scene in it where Bob Hoskins and Roger Rabbit, he's trying to get the handcuffs off of him. Do you remember this scene?
I never saw it.
What?
Sorry.
Oh my God.
Keep talking. Are you stroking out right now?
I am stroking out right now. Okay. So Bob Hoskins he's just trying to saw a pair of handcuffs off of Roger Rabbit, and Roger Rabbit, and it's a tippy crate that he's doing it. So Roger Rabbit slips his hand because he's a cartoon out of the cuffs and holds the box and says, "Is this better?" And Bob Hoskins says, "Yeah." And then he looks at him with a mean look at his face. And so Roger Rabbit puts his hand back in the cuffs, and Bob Hoskins says, "Could you have done that at any time?" And Roger Rabbit says, "No, only when it was funny," which is the greatest line in cinema. Thank you very much. I'm now going to have a little bit of bubbly water to celebrate that line right now because it's the middle of the night.
So you saw
anyway, so I saw those guys, and it was kind of cool to see them. I mean, they're famous. They have, they ostensibly they have PR jobs.
Yeah.
So they're not gainfully employed. So I'm happy for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, so it had a fun ride back. We hit a little traffic and had to deviate and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just wiped out. I don't have any comedy for 3 nights, and I'm pretty happy. I'm just gonna hang out with my son and watch Walking Dead. We're, working our way
Ugh.
through it. He's
Ugh.
already seen it all, so he's enjoying me watching it and loving it.
Oh, okay.
Because kids
Okay.
love it when you love something that they already love.
It is true.
Not faking it. Gosh darn it, Charmy.
That's still true. I showed my mother-in-law Defending Your Life the other day, which isn't
Oh,
anything like The Walking Dead, except for it is because he dies. They both die and they're walking. So it is The Walking Dead, depending. Well, Shirley MacLaine has a guest appearance on that. And it was funny because Chris was like, I love Albert Brooks. I wonder why I've never seen this movie. And then I go, well, what movie did you? I mean, he's only done like 5 movies, right? He did my friend Jim Wooster says that the people who like early Albert Brooks and the people who like late Albert Brooks can also be defined by the people who liked Seinfeld. And he said this when Seinfeld was on, and the people who liked Friends. Because they're both, they're all horrible people, but the Friends people are made much more likable for some reason. And and I have always liked the later Albert Brooks because the earlier ones are super fucking dark. There's that Lost in America one where he gives up, he's a
Julie
boomer,
Henry?
possibly. And then there's the mockumentary one that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but the ones that I like are Defending Your Life and Mother. And Mother is with Debbie Reynolds plays his mom. And she's got to be 15 years older than him. So
my dog is fucking attacking me right now.
Oh, and that dog is a pit bull, so you might want to deal with that.
She's just pulling on everything. She wants to play. I might have to put her out.
Okay. Well, we're gonna talk amongst ourselves. Oh, that was easy enough. Well done. All right.
Did you see? I'm done right now. I'm fried.
I'm going to say this at least 13 times during this episode. Please come and see me outside of Washington, D.C. and outside of Philadelphia this week, Thursday and Saturday. I will be outside of Washington, D.C. and outside of Philadelphia. By the way, thought those two were closer, but there was a reason why the guy in Philadelphia didn't care. The Arden, Delaware guy, he was like, please don't work anywhere near Philadelphia or within like an hour. And I was like, okay, I think this is an hour and a half. Well, it's 2.5 hours. It's
are you taking train or how are you going to get there?
Well, that's what I did wrong. I had to rebook a bunch of flights and I'm returning a car from one place to another place. And just some errors were made, and now they are course corrected. I'm flying into Baltimore. I'm flying out of Philadelphia. I'm renting a car in Baltimore. I'm dropping it off in Philadelphia. I have a hotel 2 nights outside of DC, and I have a hotel 2 nights in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And
are you paying for the hotels, or they?
I am. And there's the thing, I'm using some points. So the whole thing was that, and it's costing me that's for 3 shows.
Okay.
And I believe
these are all going in the private to Laurie chat. I'm missing numbers here.
Oh, sorry about that. One moment, please.
Unfair.
It's
half the fun of the gig.
right. It's not the money. So that's what I'm making, and that's what it's costing me to go.
That's
so
a lot.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if you've flown to the East Coast. That isn't a major. For some reason, Baltimore and Philadelphia are weird, but
that sucks. I wonder if it'd have been cheaper if you'd have flown into New York and just taken like Amtrak to those cities.
Right. Wow, do I not want to do that? So
it's awful. It's awful.
No, it sounds like a lot more. What I'm willing to do is I'm actually I wasn't going to bring merch, and now I'm bringing merch. I'm like, well, maybe I can if I'm lucky, I can probably make $1,000 in merch. So that'll take the edge off,
The edge, yeah, a little bit of the edge.
Right. It'll do some edge. There'll be some
Um,
edge work.
Did you watch the Brooke Shields documentary on Hulu?
No, how was it? Did you watch the Dungeons and Dragons movie? I did.
Mhm.
No.
Okay,
But
so
I'm
tell me
telling
about Brooke
I'm
Shields.
telling you because we are exactly the same age as Brooke Shields. She was
Are we?
born
Okay.
May 31st, I think, or 30th, right at the end of May.
She's older than we are.
about a month and a half.
Okay.
So, and I know you probably weren't paying attention to Brooke Shields as you were growing up, right?
No, I never even saw it. I wasn't allowed to see that movie where she had her period. The one where she was with the blonde kid and they
Oh,
had
Blue
sexy
Lagoon.
times when they were 16. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still follow your life through her when
You know that I've always
because
thought
the
of her as
reference
the
and
rich man's Kirsti Alley. That's what I've always thought of her. Is that
wow,
something?
wow.
Is that anything? No, am
No,
I
it's
wrong?
nothing. It's bullshit.
Well, Kirstie Alley's disgusting. And
She's
Brooke Shields,
dead.
I thought was better. I didn't kill her. It's not my fault. It's
It's really
made
good.
you laugh.
But it's also like Jackie, we grew up in disturbing times. Okay. What we were told was okay for young women to be exposed to and to have
Oh, yeah.
to put up with is extremely disturbing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you watch it through Brooke Shields' eyes, because she was one of the women, one of the young women, you're like, what? Like, this is
Right.
whether you rebelled against it or not, you always had to deal with it. You always
Yeah.
had to be like, we're supposed to be like the virgin with the jeans on. Okay. And her
Yeah.
too. That wasn't even her, it was like it was a projection from Calvin Klein, but like it's really just to take a look at the times that we grew up in through
Right.
her experience is really good. I recommend it.
I mean, when you think about it, of course, every time is completely bananas, right?
Yes.
And it's the Ophira Eisenberg joke that haunts me. And she's got other punchlines, but the setup is she's like, people are always talking about how resilient children are. Then why do we spend our entire lives trying to process what happened to us when we were children? And that's the setup. And it's such
Yeah.
a great, because like, if you look at children, it's what my dad said about, I told him I was reading a dystopian future book.
Mhm.
And he said, have you looked around? We live in a dystopian present. And he said, you know what the future's going to be? A lot like it is now. 5 years from now, you're going to be driving a 5-year-old car and looking for work. And I was like, oh my God, it's like he's Nostradamus. But yeah, but I will say that that I bet you it's terrifying. It's just sort of like she was a very pretty girl. And she was sexualized from a very early age.
Yeah.
And
the pictures of her when she was like she's like little, I don't know, 9, 10, 8, whatever, naked and with makeup. I mean, it's like she's she's posing in a way where things are black.
Right. She's covering the part, like her nipples and her
It's so
crotch.
Yeah, so bad. It's and
yeah, I think that sums it up. It's so bad.
Like,
That's
okay,
terrible.
so her mother her mother had terrible judgment, right? The dad
Sure.
let it happen. The dad
Oh,
gets
just
off,
happy as
but
a clam.
the dad her parents were divorced, but the dad just like, well, the mom's in charge of you. There's the dad let it happen.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can go after the mom because she put her in these situations, but you ought to go up after the dad and go, why didn't you step in? Why didn't you stop?
Right. It's
But Charmy, she keeps, oh my God. Okay. All of my clothes, all my shoes end up on the table I eat on because she brings them to me and wants to do them, and I have to put them up away from her.
Right. You're trying to, wow. All right.
There's a lot happening here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like it's, I don't know. And so we grew up in a time where it was considered taboo, like risque, but not illegal, and people were fine with it. And a lot of men were raised on that image and
Right.
like,
Right.
Gross.
Yeah. It's really terrible. Yeah, I would not.
She's very normal considering what happened. Very normal.
Really? So she's
Shock.
probably had a lot of therapy and a lot of sort of looked into it, like sort of.
Yeah. And
That's
she well, as you might know, the child of an alcoholic, you know, you become some people become hyper responsible, and she was sort of in charge of her mom after her mom would get drunk, so she's hyper responsible.
how weird is it that I love the Gilmore Girls until I realized that the girl was the parent, and I was like, oh no, I remember this childhood. That's why, except for everybody was better dressed. Hey, let's take a quick break, shall we? I did a set that you should do, and it is at the Roguelike Tavern in Burbank.
I've done it.
You've done it?
Yeah.
Why have you been hiding it from me? It's so great.
I didn't hide it from you. It wasn't hidden. Although most of mine were like last minute stuff, like filling in for somebody.
Oh, right. Because I have to tell you that it was never on any list of LA rooms that I've ever gotten from anyone.
It's like one of those secret, Hunter Hill does it. It's like a secret show or something like that, but it's always filled.
Right. It's always filled.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any more of those, rack your brains. We're in town because it paid okay. Yeah. And it was close enough to my house that I loved it. Mm-hmm. And I got to do 15, which I loved. Yeah. And Irene 2 hosted. Ron Funches went up. Then I went up.
What? And that's an incredible show. And then you're right next to Yvonne's. Did you go grocery
Which
shop?
I also stopped at. Well, I went. That's actually one of the Starbucks I used to go to when I worked over there at my last day job.
Oh, right.
And I like that Starbucks. Even though I went in and I didn't recognize anybody because I hadn't been there since pre-lockdown. So I was like, oh, I don't know anyone here.
That place used to be an Italian restaurant that did like an open mic or something. And then I think it burned, like there's a fire, and then they reopened as the Roguelike. And then now they do kind of cool comedy shows there.
And some music, I guess. So,
yeah.
But I got to meet the owner, and he was great. And Carmen Morales and Katie Bruce showed up to Katie had just landed from Atlanta. She's thinking about, Carmen's trying to talk her into moving here. So
Carmen was at my show last night, and
Carmen and Katie went last night as well.
Yes,
I was going to go, but I got sucked into making Easter food and could not leave. Sorry.
So Carmen, after I went, to meet everyone out front, she gave me a moleskin, and she's like, all right, it's time to write some new jokes. I'm like, bitch, not now.
Yeah.
It looked like a really nice moleskin.
It's,
like
what? Yes, it is a nice moleskin, and I haven't used that color in a couple of years.
I was going to say, it looked like a color that I have not seen you carrying around, and that's your thing. You like to go with a different color. Oh. Charmy, you sound... You're in good voice, brother.
Oh boy.
Sister, that's a girl. So
I did get a notebook at the bookstore near Bloomington, near the club, and it's a little shorter than, like, I'm going through it pretty quick.
Okay.
So I do prefer the moleskin size. It's the perfect size for me. Anything smaller, I go through too fast.
Yeah, I'm still. I tend to use more like scraps of paper and then put them in the notebook. So notebooks tend to last a really long time for me. Like I'm still using my Harry Potter that you got me in London.
Oh my God. And
I started using
when did you start?
3 or 4 months ago.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's within reason.
Yeah. It'll, but I've probably got another 6 months with it. So I usually do 1 a year, probably.
I do like 2 a year, or maybe 2 or 3.
Right. You're pretty prolific though. So
no, I do. I just rewrite things constantly. That's not prolific. It's more tweaking. But like, I thought, oh my fucking God.
Where will you? Okay.
So if I
Where-
let her outside, she barks and it's late for the neighbors. So I have her in and she just, okay.
keeps
Um,
doing things. Here's my
now-
question about your
Yes.
notebook. Where do
Mhm.
you get paper for the set list? You ever go to the back of the notebook? Because I go to the
No.
back of the notebook.
You know what I did was I got these here's one right here, like cardboard stock
Yeah.
to when I was working on my pilot, I wanted to, I cut them up and put them on corkboard, and so I just grabbed a few and I just wrote my set list on that for this thing.
No, but
oh,
in general, do you ever use the back of the page?
no,
The back of the notebook? No, you never pull a page out of the notebook to
I never pull a page out. Sometimes I'll write like a set list. Now I usually kind of go in order so that like a set list from a January show will precede a set list from a March show or something.
Well, sometimes I write a set list in the notebook, but if I need a set list in my pocket, sometimes I'll take half a page off the back of the book, which you don't ever do that. Yeah.
I don't do the pocket. It's, you know what? That's my fuck you to myself. Figure it out. Yeah.
Well,
But so like I realized that there's like a lot of writing I do isn't meant to ever be read again.
yes.
Like I'll write a setup and it's just so I can remember it when I go up on stage. Because when I and I look back at my old notebooks, I cannot fucking read anything. But I'm writing so quickly, it's just for that temporary stage performance. And then there's writing where it's like, this is the final version of this joke, and then it's a little more deliberate to be read again. But I just realized that, because that's one reason it's so painful to go through old notebooks is I'm scribbling so quickly and so sloppily. I can't read what I wrote. Hey, we haven't done comic of the week.
Oh, right. Let's do comic of the week.
Oh yeah. Okay. So she just did a quick set on a show I was on at Flappers. Flappers loaded me up last week, by the way. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Josh.
Yes. Nina Nguyen. And
Nina Nguyen.
she works at the club. She has been and she's starting to do stand-up. She's really funny, and she's trans, and she has some really, really funny, like I've heard there's so many trans comics, and they're, so I feel like I've heard a lot of premises, and everyone is good. It's incredible that you have people feasting on the same premises and everyone's got their own little take on it. So I don't hear a lot of crossover between trans comics on things. Yes.
Her?
Yes.
Awesome.
And her way in was also like, I hadn't heard it before. I love it. That's got to be very difficult at this point,
That is amazing.
Yeah. And she's very likable and funny and stuff. It was just a 5-minute set, but I was like, damn, that's a level of relaxation on stage I haven't seen in a lot of newcomers,
Well, yeah, all right. Well, good for her. And it's at Nina Nguyen, plural, oddly enough. NINA NGUYENS.
Oh, yeah.
So
Nina wins.
she does win.
Yeah.
And
She wins comic of the week.
congratulations, Nina Nguyen, for this tiny bump. And do you have sets this week eventually?
I do. I'm doing some of the Clubhouse with Jason
Nice.
And glass.
Glass. Yes. And then I'm doing some other things on Thursday and Friday that I don't have off the top of my head. But I'm taking a couple days off to just chill out with my kid. I've been leaving every single night, and like,
Right.
again, I came home at 11. He stays up and waits for me. He won't go to sleep unless I'm back safe. So,
Where did he get that? I think from you. So that's very sweet. Yeah, I've spent the day. Yesterday I made bread and deviled eggs.
Hey.
Because all of a sudden I'm Becky Homeki, and the bread worked out really good. I don't care.
What kind of bread?
Anyway, sourdough. As I was telling Chris today,
You
I
make
was like,
sourdough?
yeah.
That's my favorite.
Oh, is it? Oh my God. If if we hadn't had 10 people over today to play games and they ate most of it, I will bring you a loaf of, because every 2 weeks I'm afraid that the sourdough starter that Mama Foley brought into this house is gonna die. And so I'm like, we gotta make a sourdough thing. And so we make sourdough. I think 2 or 3 times now I've made English muffins,
Mhm.
and then a handful of times I've made bread. So if that's your favorite bread, this is the first time I put them into bread pans. Usually I was doing the round loaves,
Yeah.
which is good for soup.
Mhm.
But in the pans, that means you can slice it and eat a ham sandwich, which was another thing we made today, which is also not my favorite. You know what I am? I'm a good sport.
I was
That's what I
gonna say, you're at the day making food you don't like. Wow.
I don't dislike any of it. Clearly this will eat, but I'm just telling you, uh, we did make, and then everybody came over to play Hero Instant, Andy's tabletop role playing game, and that was super fun. And
Mhm.
we all hung out, and but everyone brought like I ate so much candy and so many sweets today just because Easter. And who's the comic who used to do this joke? Do you guys remember who did this bit? It was a dude, and I can't remember. I thought it was Matt Knutson, maybe, but so that, if you were to ask somebody, do you want to eat four hard boiled eggs? They would say no. It's like, really? Are you willing to eat 8 deviled eggs? They'd be like, yes, I'm completely on board. And so it's just, I
He's
love that.
he's doing really well. He's on Shrinking. Have you watched Shrinking? It's
No,
really
what's
good.
that?
It's a series on Apple TV, but also he went back to school. He's like taking finance classes while he's like doing, I don't know, he's got a lot going on, but I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I want to go back to school. I just don't know how to make it work, but
I don't have Apple TV. That's what I got out of that statement. And of course, I'm happy for Matt Knudsen. I had an audition for a fancy sitcom, and he helped me out a lot. And it would have been great if I would have got it, but I did not. He did help me out a lot. It was
really cool.
I'm gonna.
What was it? Oh,
Would have been perfect. Would have been great.
Right up your alley.
Yeah, I would have been psyched. Yeah, so I'm doing Delaware and yeah, I'm doing Silver Spring, Maryland, and then Arden, Delaware. Hello, Charmy. Are you
Sorry.
charming?
I have to isolate her.
And then I'm doing Seattle next week.
Laughs.
Going to Laughs.
Cool. I'm doing Moon Tower in a couple weeks, and then so I'll be in Austin if you guys are in Austin, and I'll be at the Punchline in San Francisco May 3rd through the 6th, and then I'll be in Oshkosh and Milwaukee the 17th through 19th. So if you're nearby, check my website. I have to start making promo for all that stuff. I just pushed everything out of my mind to get this dumb special, finished.
And I just updated my website, and I saw that I put in twice, I think, that I'm at Comic-Con. I'm so excited to do San Diego the week of Comic-Con.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't look and see where the club was. Club isn't anywhere near the convention center, which will be good for parking. And of course it makes it possible for them to get me a hotel.
Yeah.
But I was wondering whether I should flyer the con.
Ooh.
Like if I bark during the day, if I would fill the room better.
I bet you would, although I think there's gonna be so many people in town. And are you in like that comedy alley in San Diego where there's a bunch of clubs that are right near each other?
Nope, I am not. I am
okay.
essentially about 5 miles from the downtown.
Oh,
Right by Kaiser. So if I get sick, I'm good. That's my insurance provider. But the it's called Mic Drop.
Okay.
So that we should probably take one more break.
Let's shall.
And it happened. We had a break. The first week of May am in Las Vegas, and then going straight from Las Vegas to work with Maria in North Carolina.
Oh, fun.
She asked me to work with her, and I was like, 3 of the days in North Carolina, the first 3 days in North Carolina, I'm still in Vegas, because Vegas isn't just a place that feels like you're there forever. Sometimes you're actually there forever.
You haven't
And-
worked with Maria in a long time, right?
Right. So I'm pretty psyched about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's super fun. It's super fun. Some of my best material, it's just, first of all, you know how bone crushingly fucking sad and lonely the road can sometimes be.
Yes.
It's just nice to have a friend.
Yeah.
And a friend, by the way, that will ignore you if you need her to. That one of the greatest things about going on the road with Maria is we rarely, like, we might have a meal once a day or not.
Yeah. Right.
And then we'll do Joke Machine, and we'll do the shows, and we'll hang out and we'll talk. We might talk on the phone exactly like we would here.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that. And plus, I never do get to go to North Carolina. So it's a good
Are you-
place for people.
Good nights. Where are you working?
No, they're different tiny theaters, I think. One's in Asheville,
Oh.
one's in Charlotte, and one's in
Nice.
Greensboro.
Oh, how fun. Wow. I've been to Asheville once. It's great.
They might be tiny theaters, they might be big theaters. I don't know.
Mhm.
Something had the word orange in it. But I put the links on my website, though someone did tell me that the Asheville link is dodgy. So
Okay.
so people, you might need to just go to Maria's links. Go to mariabedford.com.
Can
Yeah.
I say that on Saturday when I was at the theater, the crew was raving about Suba Agarwal's. Am I saying her last name right?
Yeah,
Kirsti-
close. Yeah.
Yes. Suba had a
Subda.
great.
Yeah.
What?
Isn't it Subda?
Suba.
I might be wrong. I haven't seen her in probably 8 months. And every time I see her, I'm just like, you're going to have to say it again because I'm a jackass.
No, she has a great. This will help you. She has a great joke. I want to do her joke though, but the joke is
A mnemonic, though.
it's yeah. If you think of her name as Super, is Suba. Okay.
Oh, okay.
If she were to take her husband's last name. So anyway, she had a great set. Like the crew was talking about it several days later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
so-
outstanding. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
and the,
you
you
wanna-
know, the crew usually just talks about pizza and you know, any Hooters
when
that
it's
are,
all going to be over. That's
Yeah.
what they're mostly talking about. They're
Yeah.
like, this is great. Are we going to get to leave now?
Yeah.
And do you know when it'll come out, or?
I don't have any information. I guess I'll start thinking about that tomorrow. And do I need to get a new headshots and new, do I do promotion? Should I be promoting? Should I hire somebody, or should I just let Comedy Dynamics do its thing? I guess they have. Nikki tonight was telling me that because I had to do a lot of promos, like, hey, this is Laurie Kilmartin. Watch my special Sis Woke Grief Slut on Tubi and on Apple TV.
It
like
was
all the
pretty
places-
great.
all the places they were gonna they're gonna feed it to, right? And
Right.
one of them is Samsung TV Plus or something like that. And I guess Samsung TVs now come preloaded with a bunch of channels. One of them is a Comedy Dynamics channel that just shows comedy specials that they
I
have
think
produced.
they used to have one on Roku.
They do. They do.
Oh,
I
they
did
did
a
that one
promo for-
too. That was
yeah,
on the
like-
list.
I did
Oh,
like
so they must still. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's the potential to have it be seen is pretty high, which is nice given what happened to my album, which is completely buried.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't get me started, Jackie.
I don't believe I did. So Kyle told me that he's gonna. He showed me the first rough cut of looking
Yeah.
back. Me
Oh,
doing
cool.
9 minutes of car jokes into the back ass end of a car, and
So
and
these
then
jokes
Dave
you wrote
Hill.
for this-
Dave Hill is gonna do the opening music.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Are
he's
these-
gonna, and he
We got
just
a fun montage.
r- yeah, so I think
Is it in black and white?
It is not, but it's the lo-fi of the screen gives it this kind of cool, grainy aesthetic
Oh,
for
cool.
the joke telling parts.
real Rockford Files, you
Oh
guys.
yeah, makes
Rockford
hiding
Files.
cuts easier.
Oh my, what was that name? That guy's name, Jim, the actor?
Jim Rockford.
Was it, who played him though?
Oh,
Oh,
James Garner.
yeah. God, that guy was
Winston
cool.
Jones.
Yeah.
It's did you know that Ron Funches named his son Theodore Bear Funches?
Teddy bear. Wait, the teddy bear Funches. I love it.
And they
I love
call him Teddy.
it. Of course, you
So-
have to. Of course.
And he was doing bits about how the other names that he could use as he got angrier and angrier, or happier and happier as he grew up. It was adorable.
He
And,
posted some Easter photos that they were really cute.
oh, I did see that on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's did you see that thing that someone posted on the thread about what to do on Instagram with the algorithm?
I haven't looked at that yet. Is it
Don't.
good?
It'll enrage you. And
Oh,
also I was like,
Oh,
"Ugh, how do I tag
okay.
this so I can keep going back to it to remember what the hell I'm supposed to do?"
So I talked to during one of my many sets, I ran into somebody. I posted this on our thread, right? I don't want to like
Yeah,
say this guy's name without his permission.
right.
Uh,
That's,
But he's
part
famous.
of the things in the chat.
He's famous and he's had a show on TV and
Yeah.
he has over 1 million TikTok followers. And he said it doesn't help me sell out rooms. And then another a writer from Conan said he was opening for somebody, and this person had like 3 million, and they weren't filling the room either. So it's not. Maybe something's changing, or it's not.
Or it never was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it was a
I don't know
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. I mean, the rooms are being fed, I don't think by the social media. I mean, I think some of that's happening, but I don't think it's happening to the extent. Do you remember when everyone said 12 years ago, you should shoot your own special because they're buying content? They weren't. They weren't. They were buying the same content they were always buying, and it was never. It's always gonna be. It's not always gonna be. It's sometimes it's gonna be. It might change, but it's definitely, these guys are gonna fill rooms forever, and they're gonna get work even if they don't fill rooms forever. And it's not that I don't like that guy, but that guy works so much,
Yeah.
and there's
But-
no reason why I shouldn't also work those rooms. And that guy fills stadiums,
Yeah.
but I don't think it was his TikTok.
No.
I think it
what-
might have been an amalgamation of the podcast.
that guy did a lot of stuff before TikTok too. But I'm saying like either TikTok isn't everything that was been
That's
so
what I'm saying. Right.
comics in the past couple months, maybe year, like, oh, you got to do this or nothing's going to happen. Like, okay, if this guy, this famous guy is saying it's not happening, and this other guy with 3 times as many followers as a famous guy isn't, so it's not everybody.
Right.
And you're still
That's-
dependent on TikTok showing you know that video to people that would want to see it.
Right. Yeah. No, that's what I was just saying, is that I agree.
Yeah, that
That,
guy.
that's a myth that was created possibly by TikTok. Did I
that's-
see a TikTok about how great that myth was? Wow. Would
Hmm.
it be for my For You page?
Ooh,
Fall for
Along-
this is what it
along-
should be called.
Alongan Mitra, he's a comic. He gets like I subscribe to his email list just to see what it's like, and whenever with a fake name. So whenever I get something with that name, I'm like, oh my God, Alongan's in town. But it's if you get someone's email address and then you could just, let it's automated to let them know when you're, nearby, then you don't need the algorithm as much because you have the information you need. I mean, I guess that's just basic 101 marketing at this point, but I don't know. It's just weird how like you're doing really well, Jackie, and
Yeah.
you're seeing an uptick, which is cool. you know.
No,
and-
but nothing huge yet. I don't think. I mean, it's not filling the rooms big, but it's genuinely people coming up to me afterwards, going, "I've seen you on Instagram. I've seen you